All right, so coming back to our Narada Bhakti Sutra. Okay, just a minute. Narada Bhakti Sutra. Yes, so last time we took up two aphorisms where Narada said that devotees should rather avoid vain debate about which path is greater, which path is better. Okay, because arguments don't lead anywhere and there are different viewpoints. None of them is conclusive. So arguments cannot prove anything for certain. Those who feel that they are being benefited from bhakti, they should follow it. And they should not be caught up in vain debate, which in fact jeopardize our mind or takes mental peace away. So rather, practice whatever you like. In the path of bhakti, we see categorically in path of bhakti, debate does not help much. So what does it mean? Does it mean that we should not study at all or new things or just will be practicing? So in the next aphorism, Narada says what should be studied and what should be done. So last two aphorisms were a caution, warning, what the devotee should not get involved into. Next two aphorisms will be what the devotee should do. Okay, so Narada, as we see, going back and forth between practices, between what one should do, and again going back to other topics. If we look at the text at different places, he has said many practices that a devotee should engage with. And again, he goes back to some theories or some definitions, and then again come back to what is beneficial in the life of a devotee. And we are towards the end of the text. Now he is almost kind of wrapping up the entire text in the terms of what are the essentials in the path of bhakti. So let's have a look at aphorism number 76. Yeah. Bhakti shastrani mananiyani tat udbodha karmani karo niyani. Let's recite it together. Bhakti shastrani mananiyani tat udbodha karmani karo niyani. Shastrani means scriptures on bhakti, mananiyani, should be followed. Karmani and activities. Karmani is from karma. Karma is singular, karmani is plural. So, and karmani means activities. Udbodha, that awaken. Tat means that means bhakti. Karo niyani, should be performed. So for the maturation of bhakti, scriptures on bhakti should be followed, and activities that awaken bhakti should be performed. So as I said, the previous two aphorisms were about what an aspiring devotee should avoid, the vain debate. And this aphorism is about what they should follow. So Narada says, scriptures and bhakti should be followed. We shall see the term followed. What does it mean? It has, the Sanskrit term is manana, mananiyani. So we know manana is a profound word, not simply means read. Okay, we shall see that. Scriptures and bhakti means any spiritual literature that are conducive for the cultivation of bhakti. For example, life of spiritual aspirants from all faith traditions, those who struggled and later on they succeeded in the path of bhakti. This can be recognized as scriptures and bhakti shastra. For example, in fact, when we were studying this text, a very senior Swami taught us this in Belur Math in 2006. Okay, in 2006. So when he was teaching us this book, he made us read, guess what? The Way of Pilgrim. The Way of Pilgrim. Okay. And also he said those who can also read, should read Philokolia, the, a book about a Russian mystic, devotee, great devotee, Philokolia. Then The Way of a Pilgrim, where a pilgrim enters into, his main practice is this Jesus prayer. So he continuously pray, which is just like our japa, what we call japa, mantra japa. He was continuously chanting Jesus prayer. And it's a very, very inspiring book, The Way of a Pilgrim. Very small, small book, Way of a Pilgrim. Then another book, which all of us know, is from Christian tradition, that is The Imitation of Christ. That is a great book for devotees to follow. Swami Vivekananda used to carry throughout his life, even in his wandering days, when he was not carrying anything with him, two books. One is The Imitation of Christ and Bhagavad Gita. That tells us the importance of the book, The Imitation of Christ. Wonderful book. Is very, very, I would say, beneficial in the path of bhakti. Then also there are many other books. For example, I loved Little Flowers of Saint Francis of Assisi. That is also a great bhakti book. Then, of course, we know Bhagavatam, which we have quoted now and then. Then Life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. These are books on bhakti. Then, of course, we know Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. But Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is such a book which is not only about bhakti. Also, although bhakti is the, we may say, main refrain of the book, but it is a syncretic book, we may say. It's a very syncretic book where every spiritual path possibly we can think of is discussed there. So Narada says books like this, which encourage us into the path of bhakti, they should be mananiyani, should be followed. So manana is, we read in Advaita Vedanta Aparakshanahuti manana. So manana means read something very deeply and think deeply. So manana means not only reading, but read it and think deeply about it, make it a part of yourself. That is manana. So I believe that these are the steps in manana. Number one, read only small portion. Read only a small portion from the book, maybe 1 page or 2 page. If they are discussing some ideas, if it is a story, probably that's all right. But if there is some vital idea that is being discussed, then read only a small portion of the book. Number two, try to grasp the main idea. That is, stop and think what the main idea is being told in these pages or in these paragraphs. Number three, try to think deeply about the idea. Number four, try to absorb or soak in the idea. 5, let's connect the idea with life. That is, whether I can practice this idea in my life. If it is, how can I? What does it mean to my personal life? How I can practice this idea? And then we shall see that not all ideas, although great ideas or great spiritual practices are being told, we may find that maybe I am not up to this, what they are asking now. Okay, for example, in next aphorism, Narada will see a spiritual seeker should not waste even half a moment. We know that it is an ideal. Okay, it is an ideal. I cannot really make it happen in my life. Okay, so I cannot aim for that at this moment of my present circumstances or present state of my growth. So what such ideas can really mean to our life? Secondly, not all ideas can resonate with us at all time. Okay, the same idea which did not attract me, say 2 years ago, maybe now it is attracting me. I am finding more attractive to that idea now. So that is the main thing, that practice those ideas which resonate with us for the time being. And it's better to take up one practice at a time. In fact, in this book, Imitation of Christ, it is said that in the books, in the scriptures, we find so many virtues, and we try to practice all of them. And the result is not so very encouraging. And he says, the writer, he says that, Thomas Kempis, he says, how nice it would have been if we would have taken up one virtue for each year and had perfected in that. Then we would have seen much more change, better change in us if we would have taken one virtue at a time and would have practiced throughout a year. Okay, so that is the point, that if we take up one idea and put it into practice. We see that many ideas flash in and suppose we are reading some Bhakti scripture and we love it and we don't do anything about it at that point. Maybe many years later, the same paragraph, same passage may come to my mind. And we sometimes feel that the position now I am, the problems now I am into, that practice will help me the most. That practice will help me the most. So they say that wise people say that, well, there are so many virtues to be practiced, so many ideas, so many disciplines to be practiced, but time becomes benefit. There are some times which are more conducive for practice of some of the virtues than others. Okay, and if we can just ponder over about all the virtues or whatever we have read, we shall always come up with some idea or virtue which can help me at this moment, the problem or the stage of life now I am going through. Okay, so for example, in Bhagavad Gita, so many practices, so many spiritual disciplines are being told, but we cannot practice all of them together at the same time. But if we see that at certain time, some one or two ideas will be very much applicable to that particular situation we are into. That's why they say that every problem has a spiritual solution. So it means this, that every problem that we are going through, we can draw on from the scripture a particular solution for that problem. Okay, probably we are not getting, or we are not able to find that particular solution for that time. Right, I like to focus on a virtue that I feel drawn to, then my practice will be, yes, so much deeper and purer. Exactly, that is our strength. That is our strength. So manana is a great idea. Not only read, but think deeply and connect it to our life, how we can practice in our life. It is, manana is opposed to badu. The two aphorisms they said about bada, debate. So read, don't debate. Okay, read, ponder over, think deeply within yourself, but not, it is against bada, not like debating, it is reading. So can you now connect this aphorism with another aphorism that we have studied earlier? The need for reading scripture. I know it is not an easy task because we read it long ago. But still to okay. Aphorism 12. It said, Bhavatu nishchayo urdham shastha rakshanam. Bhavatu nishchayo dardhat urdham shastha rakshanam. Let there be care for scriptures even after being firmly established in the truth. Okay, so in that connection, it was says that 12, aphorism 12, it was said that even those who have been perfected in the path of bhakti, who have reached goal, still they should care for the scripture, because it is for setting example for others. And of course, those who are following the path of bhakti, they need a guide. So scriptures, bhakti scriptures should be followed. And yes, I did not send it, yes. So the question is now, is Narada being dogmatic about when he says that only bhakti scripture should be followed? Should we not read other scriptures? Well, yes, Narada is speaking to those who want to strengthen bhakti alone, Okay, they should read and reflect on bhakti literature only. Otherwise, what might happen? There could be confusion. There could be, this is very much possible when one starts reading. Not, we are speaking of us, all of us here have grounding in spiritual literature. But suddenly, if someone starts reading bhakti, jnana, karma, all things together, then the problem is two, two things. Everything might appear to be correct, or everything may appear to be wrong. Okay, these are the two risks. It may feel like everything is being told right, or everything is wrong. So first one should have a grounding, okay, in one of the paths. When that happens, when one has some grounding, with that understanding, solid understanding, one can then appreciate all other paths, because one has got a framework. Okay, now they know when they read some other faith tradition or any other spiritual path, they know where the other path differs, where they are similar, so where they fit into. So first, there should be one stronghold on into anything. So Narada says for a bhakta, they should restrict themselves only in bhakti literature. So for example, in our order, in the novices, so first 4 years, there is a prescribed list of books. One should read it, the fundamental books. And if one does not do that, I have seen what happens. Many fundamental concepts, the fundamental concepts which should be very much grounded, they don't get that grounding. Okay, so that's why we have a list of books. First you read these books, then you read other books. You are not being barred to read other books, forbidden, but you should read these books in your first 4 years. That is very beneficial when you have a grounding understanding. For example, I recommend Sri Ramakrishna and his Divine Play. If someone has seriously read that book from what is the expression, from cover to cover, and really tried to understand the concepts, then many ideas about spiritual life, Vedanta, and how we understand spiritual growth, what are the real yardsticks of spiritual growth, all these ideas will be very much crystal clear if someone reads Sri Ramakrishna and his Divine Play. Because while writing the book, the author made great pain to make it available to us, the essence of spirituality and mysticism. So once we have got a great grounding on bhakti literature, they then can have appreciate, understand other books too. And so for us, we don't have to be so much dogmatic that only bhakti scripture we shall read. We in fact, we read everything, but we should have a grounding on a particular path to appreciate other path. That's why I say the Gospel of Ramakrishna is such a wonderful book, that if we read the book, we shall see that no confusion is arising in our mind. So jnana, bhakti, karma, yoga, tantra, Christianity, then non-dualism, formlessness, all are so seamlessly being harmonized as different paths of spiritual life. So that's why that is why many of our Swamis, those who have remained very real scholars. And I mean, they were such great scholars. They could speak in Sanskrit. They translated from Sanskrit. They could write Sanskrit, such scholars. They, at the end of their life, they read only one book, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. They said this is the essence of everything we have read. So now, no, nothing more, only Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So that's a great book to read. We don't have to be so much dogmatic, only Bhakti Shastrani, but we can read, of course, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. And then he says, Tad udbodha karmani karoniyani. Activities that awaken bhakti should be performed. So one is Bhakti Shastrani Manoniyani. Second is perform those activities which awaken bhakti in our heart. So again a question, can you relate this aphorism with another aphorism we read, of course, long ago? Yes. Anyone want to try? Repeat the aphorism again. Yes, the aphorism is only engage on those activities that awaken bhakti. Perform those activities which are conducive for bhakti. Aphorism 65. What was aphorism 65? Tadarpita akhilachara san kamo krodho abhimanadika tasmin eva karaniyam. Even better, which repeat the same idea. Okay. Anyway, aphorism 11. Aphorism 11, which said that Loka Vedeshu tad anukulu acharanam tad virodhishu udasinata. Indifference means performing those mundane and religious activities which are conducive for devotion, and abstaining from those which are opposed to devotion. So what it means, at that time we saw that there could be countless mundane activities for us to do, to choose from if we have time. And so also there could be several religious activities. Which one we should do? This aphorism says that a true devotee performs only those activities, whether mundane or religious, which are conducive for devotion. For example, prayer, singing, reading, meditation are more conducive to other rituals, which might involve sometimes too much of effort and time and energy, such as elaborate worship. So we should do that kind of thing. So only those activities which are conducive to devotion, that a devotee should try to perform. So what are those activities then? Narada Bhakti Sutra gave examples, Aphorism 16, puja. Puja means we saw formal worship or mental worship. Okay, this is conducive to devotion. Formal, simple worship, or even mentally doing worship, that is conducive to devotion. Then aphorism 17, katha, or katha dishu anuraga. Katha means reading and thinking deeply about the lila that is pastime of divine incarnations. That is a very beneficial for cultivating bhakti. Aphorism 36 said bhajana. Bhajana means singing, chanting, chanting God's name, and even in a group, congregational. And in aphorism 30, Narada says, try to engage in holy company, spiritual friends. So these are the activities. Of course, we can choose many other activities, but these are the activities Narada said which are conducive in the life of a devotee. They should try to perform it. So should we not do then any other activity than these? Of course, but we should try to engage in bhakti inducing activities as much as we can if we want to grow in bhakti. Okay, so summary of this aphorism is, to strengthen bhakti, an aspirant should read and reflect upon those books which are conducive for bhakti and engage in those activities which are conducive for bhakti. Okay. Of course, what he is saying is not something a revelation. We all understand that if we want to cultivate bhakti, we have to engage in activities that help us to cultivate bhakti and read. So the main thing is, the more time we spend in our bhakti path through reading, through thinking, or through doing, the more we can time spend, the more we shall grow love for God. It is just like in the case of our human relationship. The more time we spend together, deeper becomes our relationship, right? The more time spent together, the deeper becomes our relationship between friends, between relatives. More we, and especially quality time spent together strengthens our relationship. So what Narada is saying is, since now God is an imagination for us, which will be actual, real for us through the path of bhakti. So what we are trying to do is trying to imitate this, spending time with my chosen form of God, chosen idea of God. The more time I can spend, the more my heart, my mind will be attracted to the idea. This is the simple psychology behind why read bhakti scripture and engage in activities that are conducive for bhakti. For devotees of Thakur, would it be correct to say that we are grounded in Vedanta, even though our practice may be bhakti, karma, etc.? Exactly. Yes, for the followers of Sri Ramakrishna, Vedanta is the framework. Not only followers of Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, just before the class, I was reading. There is a wonderful website that has come up, vedantadevotees.org. So there, all the devotees, mostly from America, they are sharing their life story about how I came to Vedanta. Okay. So there I was reading about a lady from New York. So she was a Catholic Christian, and when she first came to know about Vedanta, she attended a retreat in Chicago, Ganges probably. And then she understood. From that time on, my understanding of Christianity was much more profound. So not only were the followers of Sri Ramakrishna, so Vedanta gives a very good grounding, a framework to appreciate any faith tradition or bhakti or any other path. Any question about this aphorism? Or anything, any supplementary idea?
I have a question, Swami.
Yes, Betty, go ahead.
For those who have an inclination to another path, whether it be jnana or karma yoga or whatnot, sometimes that might be a more valid path that will lead them to bhakti than directly approaching the bhakti path. I'm just thinking that way, that for some people, one path is easier than another, but they may have a longing for bhakti and coming to a better understanding of another path will lead them to bhakti eventually.
Exactly. And this is what Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda's goal was, to integrate it. So karma, bhakti, jnana, yoga, they are complementary to each other. Okay. One of them may be more attractive to some of us. Okay. I may like bhakti, you may like more jnana, but they are not watertight, first of all. And secondly, each is help for the other. Okay. That is why Swami Vivekananda so much wanted integration of all the path. But Narada, remember, we have to contextualize. Narada is not Swami Vivekananda or Sri Ramakrishna. Okay. He is exclusively addressing those who want to follow the path of devotion. Lectio Divina is a similar Christian practice to Mananiyani. I see. Lectio Divina. I see. Thank you. Yes, I know that in Christianity, there are, one type of prayer, probably what you mentioned, which is just like what we understand as manana. Okay. Which aphorism is mentioned about holy company? Aphorism 38. When you practice bhakti, it does provide more opportunities to experience a sense of awe that also fosters the devotion in the individual. Yeah, sure. Practicing bhakti is foster devotion in individual. Indeed. Indeed. What devotional scripture do you think Narada would have been referring to? Yeah, of course, Narada must have been referring to Bhagavatam because he has quoted, Brajagopi Kanam, Yatha Brajagopi Kanam. He must have been. Then there are some other scriptures. There are many, in fact. Okay, Bhagavatam stands, apart, but there is one great Bhakti Shastra called Narada Pancharatra. Okay, Narada Pancharatra, which I have heard about, but I have not studied. I have not seen it. Then, of course, commentaries on Bhagavatam, Bhakti Rasamrita Bindhu. Okay, Bhakti Rasamrita Bindhu. This is Bhakti Rasa Amrita Bindhu. That is nectar, ocean of nectar of devotion by Jiva Goswami probably, or Rupa Goswami. Okay. So the Bhakti's literature is also very, I would say, very robust literature. Very robust literature. All right. I thought, okay. Anyway, so let's move on to the next aphorism. Sukha, dukha, ichha, labha, adi, tyakte, kale, pratikshamane, shana ardham api, vyartham na neyam. So long aphorism, lengthy aphorism. So let's read it together. Sukha, dukha, ichha, labha, adi, tyakte, kale, pratiksha, mane, shana, ardham, api, vyartham na neyam. So tyakte means having been freed from. Sukha, pleasure. Dukha, pain. Ichha, desire. Labha, personal gain. Adi means etc. Api, even. Half. Ardham, shana, a moment of. Patiksho, mane, available. Kale, time. Niyam, should. Na, not. Vyartham, not niyam, this should be vyartham. Be wasted. Okay. So having been freed from pleasure, pain, desire, personal gain, etc., one should not waste even half a moment of available time. So here in the next aphorism, Narada is saying a two-step process. One is try to get more of your time, make more time available for you, energy and time. Second step is when such time, quality time is available to you, use them, such available time for bhakti, for cultivation of bhakti. You should not waste them. So we usually don't realize that a good deal of our time and energy are drained by stress, anxiety, worries, etc. So it is not, many times, it is not the work that we are doing which are draining our time and energy. It is rather many a time our expectation, our apprehension, our aversion, and our expected outcome that takes our time and energy a lot. If we can transcend, if we can go beyond these anxieties and worries, then we can have much more mental energy and time at our disposal. We spend a great deal of time and energy in these, worries and anxieties and aversion, expectation, etc. And if we can get rid of that, we shall have quality time. We should not waste such available time. And Narada says even half of such moment should not be wasted. So half a moment, that is to emphasize the value of time. Emphasize, because we don't know how long we are going to get time. Okay, to make the matter urgent, Narada, like any other Indian scripture, the India, in Vedanta they say that asupte amrite Vedanta vichara karanyam. That is, as long as you are awake and as long as you are alive, each moment should be spent in Vedanta vichara. So these are aspirational value or idealism. So to emphasize the urgency of the matter, importance of the matter, Narada says even half a moment one should not waste. Okay, even half a moment one should not waste. So how to, first of all, and so what does it mean, half a moment? In practical terms, we may think it this way, so that we should regularly engage in bhakti practices, regularly. So it is so urgent or important that we should not neglect it any single day. That is now not wasting half a moment for us. Okay, so regularity. To then how to go beyond those anxieties and worries? Narada says a devotee, after becoming free from pleasure, pain, all those things. So how to go beyond those things? One is, as we noted earlier, being in the moment, okay? Being mindful about. If we are mindful about what we are doing, what is in our hand at right now, and try to do it with full attention, then anxiety, stress, they won't be able to do much. We cannot totally get rid of at this stage, but we shall see that we are more into the present, into the act, than thinking or fretting or anticipating about things that have not happened, rather focusing on the work. And the bhakta's way is thinking about God and keeping on doing all the activities, which Narada has been stressing from the very beginning, that every action, whether it is a mundane action or religious action, whatever it, try to dedicate all of them to God. And it is more like, in Indian temples, we see that we offer we go to the temple. Suppose we have brought fruit and sweets and offer it to the temple, and then prasad comes something else. Okay, so we don't know what we shall offer to in the temple and what we shall get. Okay, we don't know. Maybe a laddu, which we offered, maybe a simple fruit, we get a laddu, a sweet, wonderful laddu. Sometimes maybe just a sugar candy. Okay, the same idea is for a devotee. So whatever a devotee is doing, so bringing to the temple, like bringing, and whatever it is we are getting back, like prasada. So it does not mean that whatever we have brought, we shall get the same thing. Sometimes even we can get better. Sometimes may get which we may not like. So that is the attitude of a devotee, to go beyond this problem of anxiety, stress, and apprehension, or trying to avoid some certain situation. And if we can save our time and energy in that way, then such time and energy we have saved, now what to do with them? Sri Ramakrishna gives an example that someone has become freed from all the social responsibilities. Now to spend time, they have enough time. What they do? Playing cards. Playing cards. So does a devotee do that when they have saved time, precious time and energy? No. So what we should do at that time then? How not to waste? Go to previous aphorism. Read Bhakti Shastrani and try to engage those activities which are conducive to bhakti. That way, we are not wasting our time. Okay. So the summary of this aphorism is, if we can go beyond the daily anxieties, worries, stress, then we can have much more time and energy at our disposal. Such available time should be used by an aspiring devotee properly. Properly means by contemplating on bhakti literature and doing simple activities which can be helpful in cultivation of bhakti. Next, Narada will speak about some auxiliary virtues which are conducive for bhakti, which are some moral, ethical values a devotee should be practicing. Okay. Questions. Okay, I took some notes. Narada Bhakti Sutra Wisdom book support bhakti. The way of a pilgrim, or Pilgrim's Tale, the Philokalia, Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis. Yes. Little Flowers of Saint Francis of Assisi, Bhagavatam, Life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Yes, yes, thank you. Yes. Where would you find the list of books you mentioned? List or the books? Noel, did you mean the list of the books or the books themselves?
The list of the books themselves.
Oh, you have got it, right? Manish Chakravarti has typed them, right?
Yes, I've written it down. Thank you.
Yes, 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 yes. So I would recommend start with Imitation of Christ and read only one page a day, because each paragraph is very profound. It's worth thinking about. Every paragraph, a section, each section has a heading. For example, one of the sections that I remember vividly, it is about this, that how nice it would have been if we would have taken only one virtue at a time to practice. Okay, so it is a wonderful book. Which books they recommended in the monastery? Okay, I shall tell you later on. We shall meet. Okay, mostly Bhagavad Gita, Life of Swami Krishna, Sarada Devi, Swami Vivekananda's some fundamental works, then Viveka Chudamani. These are the Upanishads, some of the Upanishads. So nothing very, I would say, esoteric. Books are available for everybody. All right. Any other question or suggestions, ideas? One thing, yes, etc. referred to. Adi. Okay, yeah, you can Sukha, Dukkha, you know, all the pairs of dualities, like Mana and Abhimana, and the opposite of that, you know, praise or criticism. Okay, Mana, Apamana. So go beyond all those dualities, which are so much, you know, so much weigh on us, take so much of our time and energy. Ideas like that. One thing that I, you know, I translated the verse as this aphorism that even a half moment of available time should not be wasted. So this is my own translation. I consulted so many books. Nowhere I got the appropriate translation of the word Patikshamane Kale. Okay, Patikshamane Kale, nobody translated in a way that really makes sense. It appeared to me Patikshamane Kale is available time. Okay, because we have Pratiksha here. Pratiksha means, Pratiksha, the word is wait, waiting for something. Okay, Patikshamane means when we are waiting. Okay, so Patikshamane Kale means when we have been freed from all those activities, and in the meantime, this time which is available to us, don't waste even a half moment of that available time. Okay, so Patikshamane, to translate this, I had to wait from yesterday to this morning. This morning, it dawned upon me that what makes sense, Patikshamane Kale is available time. Don't waste even half a moment of available time. All right, so we shall do the guided meditation after the break of 1 minute.